Tonight, car lovers are in Los Angeles for the 2023 LA Auto Show. The 10-day event is regarded as one of the most influential and best attended auto shows in the world. But how exactly does it compare to the Detroit Auto Show, and what can we expect to see come out from LA? Joining us now is Paul Eisenstein, editor-in-chief of Headlight.News. Paul, I guess I want to first start with, I know when I went to the Detroit Auto Show, EVs played a seemingly pretty big role there. Would you say that's essentially the same thing in LA as well?
Yep, it's another big year for EVs here, though not entirely. We're seeing a fair amount of pure battery electric vehicles. We're seeing hybrids, plug-in hybrids. We're even seeing talk about hydrogen cars. I just got back a couple minutes before I set up my computer to talk to you, taking a drive in a hydrogen semi-truck.
All right, Paul. So first, let's just kind of go into that. How was that experience then?
Quite interesting. It's a company called Nikola. You may have heard of them. They had a bunch of problems a couple of years ago. Their founder got in a little bit of trouble, but they seem to have turned the corner. There's a lot of people that believe that battery electric vehicles, battery power, isn't really the right way to go for long distance trucking. You can only go so far with batteries, but hydrogen, well, this truck in particular, this Nikola truck, will get over 500 miles carrying a full load of, 70 tons or whatever you can put in the back of the semi.
Yeah, 500 miles. Now, I do know, foreign companies, Mercedes, Hyundai, Toyota, I've seen them starting to ramp up their coverage. Would you say essentially that's the same thing for American models like Ford and GM there?
Actually, a lot of manufacturers aren't here, the same as we saw in Detroit this last year. The reality is auto shows are going through a lot of changes. You're seeing far fewer manufacturers attend the show in any form, and the number that we're holding news conferences, well, in Detroit and even here in LA, is a fraction of what we saw. I think, what did we see? 6 or 7 news conferences from auto manufacturers. One, Acura, their news conference simply consisted of showing off a new audio system. But there were some other big events as well. Lucid, an EV startup, for example, they're betting their future on the vehicle that they launched here today. I hope you have a picture of that somewhere in there. It's the Lucid Gravity, which is their first all-electric SUV. And by the way, 440 miles per charge.
Wow, 440 miles per charge. Paul, I guess how would you say this auto show differentiates itself from the Detroit Auto Show?
Well, I think the biggest thing here is considering what Los Angeles and what California are all about, which is a much more environmentally sensitive consumer. You do have more EVs, hybrids, plug-ins, and yes, hydrogen vehicles. And we saw that today. Interestingly enough, by the way, one of the things that was announced here at the show were the finalists for the North American Car, Truck, and Utility Vehicle of the Year, 3 in each category. And of those 3 categories and 9 finalists, 5 were all electric, another 2 were hybrid.
Overall, with the UAW strike seemingly continuing, would you say, have there been any type of conversations there at the LA Auto Show about that?
Well, the good news is it appears at this moment like the strikes are over and that the contracts are very, very likely to be ratified. We'll have to wait till the official numbers come down. Some people were a little bit nervous as they watched the numbers over the last few days, but I think right now the strikes are behind. One of the interesting things to watch there is what happens with the non-Detroit automakers, companies like Toyota, Hyundai, BMW and the like. We've already seen at least 3 of those manufacturers announce plans to give their workers roughly the same sort of wage increase that we saw in Detroit. And one key reason, they want to keep the workers at those plants from feeling like they get a better deal by going with a union.
As those negotiations continue, Paul, overall, would you say vehicle prices will start to be higher in lieu of this strike?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. The automakers are certainly going to try to find ways to cut costs. We just saw Stellantis announce that they were going to they're giving a buyout to thousands of workers, and the competitive pressures are such that it is difficult for the Detroit automakers to raise prices if their competition from abroad will not raise prices. The other good thing I should mention on this is probably a very good time for people who are in the market for a vehicle. As you know, prices have risen by something like a third for new vehicles over the last 10 years. We actually have seen prices drop by, if I remember correctly, the Edmunds numbers that were released a day or so ago indicated that prices are down about a percentage point and a half so far this year. And even better, we're also seeing more incentives than we have seen since before the COVID pandemic struck.
Paul, I hope I don't trip you up with this next question, but it's about 58 degrees here in Southfield currently. What is the weather like in Los Angeles?
Oh my gosh, it is cold out here. It
Really?
got down in the high 40s overnight, and I think it's only about 70 right now.
Oh boy. All right. Well, you enjoy that 70-degree weather. Paul Eisenstein, editor-in-chief of Headlight.News. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Good to be with you.